shouldn't take so long. Should at the start.
No.
It's supposed to fix that. There it is.
Just flipped off by a silver-haired old lady with a honk if you love Jesus sticker on the bumper of her car.
There's some things in this world that aren't right. There's some things in this world that are just downright struggling and broken. There's some things in this world that make you cry out in public lament. There's some things in this world that make you say cripes and come on, and you've got to be kidding me.
Gosh darn it.
And this is a little bit we do. It's a little shtick we do on the show. Mm-hmm. It's a little thing.
Yeah.
But then there are times where in a week like this, there's these really, truly hardened and awful things that happen to an individual or to a community or to a city or to a nation or to the globe. And then the guy who runs this bit thinks to himself, well, let's not make light. Let's not make light. So the Cripes goes out to the fact that sometimes the reality of the world ruins your little bit. Ruins your little shtick. Sometimes a guy's got a setup and it totally gets ruined.
Because it sounds paltry.
It's like when you've got this great little one-liner and you realize, I can't say that because, that would totally be too soon or too awkward or too bad. So there's some things that are just tough.
Cripes to the
and the role of the lament is to create room for the right on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to wax philosophical about it, but it does take both. I don't know that it requires both. I do want to live in a world where we can have just right-ons.
That'd be nice.
Where it's just puffy flowers and hopping bunnies.
Puffy flowers.
Like those hippie flowers that they'd write right on the walls, those things. All around the world, these things would be popping up all over the place.
Like peonies.
Yeah, I set up my Twitter profile this week, the background of the page with a little hippie flowers.
You did?
I did.
Oh,
yeah, I saw him somewhere. I'm like, I like that. So there's some things that make you say cripes in this world. And there's some things that make you say come on. The come on goes out to just the spiteful weather gods.
Oh, I know.
I mean, last year we have a winter that's finally not just abusive.
Mm-hmm.
And because there's no snow and it was like 70. It was like
we were wearing our bathing suits.
Oh, it was fantastic.
November.
It was like San Diego in the Midwest. And then this year, those weather gods, I mean, who knew that their fury would just be so intense?
I know.
All across the Midwest. I mean, people are they're just getting it.
It's a little tough.
But the come on doesn't just go out to the weather gods because, they're fickle. It goes out to all the people who live in places where they don't suffer under the wrath of the weather gods, saying like, why do you live there? That's who gets the come on. You know who gets the come on? All the people I've had to deal with in the last couple of weeks when I'm like, where do you live? I live in Minneapolis. Oh, I saw in the weather, like it's still snowing there. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, but it's actually sleet and snow, so it's worse. Right? Somehow kind of it was possible that snow could be made worse.
The snow has been coated with ice.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what's next. Like, it's going to snow, and then you're going to get fire from heaven that burns you and then freezes you, and it's the only way it could get worse. And so you say this when one is in, say, Northern California, or one is in Washington, D.C., or one is in those places, and then people are, and they're as serious as a heart attack about this question. They seriously...
Why do you live there? Mm-hmm.
Well, why do you live there?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in a particularly bad spot to answer that question, because the reason I live here is because I like the people who live here.
Yeah.
And I've been to these other places. I don't like those people as much. So what does one say? Because I'd rather live in the weather with those people than out here with you people. Come on.
Well, if they ask you that question enough, you may just have to say it.
Why do you live here? And I have the in writing there's like the five
like
things:
influences.
who, what, where, when, why, how. Right?
Yeah.
Those 5 things. I think there's 3 ways that people organize their lives that all start with H's or all start with W's.
Oh, really? Tell us.
Yeah.
What are they?
Where,
who, what, when, where,
where
why.
it is. Where it is, like I'm going to live in a place because I like the woods, or I like the ocean, or I like the suburbs.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a where question.
Yeah.
Where do I live? Well, I organize my life around where.
Mm-hmm.
That's most important. I'm going to move to Colorado. Oh, do you know anybody in Colorado? Nope. I'm living near the mountains.
I don't understand those people. Okay.
Yeah. People organize their lives that way. Fabulous. Good for them. Hallelujah. Yeah. Then there's people who organize their lives around what they do. How do
where
you
their
organize your
job
life?
is,
And they
where
say, well, what I do for a living is that,
so I'm moving here because my
I'm a
job is-
vet, so I have to be in places where there's lots of horses or something, right? Like
Right.
it's just about so the determiner of how they've organized their life is around what they do with their life.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the who question.
Mm-hmm.
Some people organize their lives around who they want to live with.
Yeah.
This happens to be the fact for children,
Yes.
right? Like you ask a
Conditions
9-year-old,
not of their choosing. Yeah.
tell me about your life.
Yeah.
Well, my parents live here.
So therefore.
So do I, right? Like, and then they grow up and they would leave. What I have found interesting is that some people have a hard time switching their life motivation from one to the other.
Mm-hmm.
They have, for some reason, taken one of those and minimized it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to argue that they're all valid,
Mm-hmm.
but it's really hard for people to believe that they're all valid. So I was in a great conversation with a dear friend who said, I think it now feels okay to me to say I want to live somewhere based on who. Because he said, it always felt like that wasn't a legitimate adult choice.
Oh, really?
It needed to be around what do I want to do. My job sets it,
Interesting.
not who I want to be with. That seems frivolous. That seems indulgent. That seems that seems like you're not taking your life seriously.
Wow.
Yeah. So he said, I think I've come to, and I think that would be true. I'm a who type.
Mm-hmm.
And I think to some of the who's, the where would seem like, what? You don't get to
Yeah.
leave us to go live by
Well,
the
and
beach.
Minnesota is a who
It's a who place.
state.
It's a who town.
I mean, we're hobbits. I always say it's like
Nice.
you're suspicious of anyone who didn't grow up in the Shire, and I mean,
great.
we all
Yeah, we are
and
hoodlums.
yeah,
we
we
are
are
hoodlums.
we are hooters.
Hooters. Well, there you go.
Sorry.
Well, leave it to the poets. So the come on goes out to the people who are like, well, why do you live there? You could live in a place where the weather's so much better.
It's not a helpful thing to say.
Well, not to a hooer.
Nope. Like
They're apparently wearers.
apparently
waters.
they picked the ocean over these
I'm going to
great
turn them into
Minnesotans.
different people. And the "You've got to be kidding me" goes out to the 46 senators who said, no, we shouldn't change the
Right.
background. I mean, they should have been
like
voting to melt
bare
every gun down in the country.
metal.
Unbelievable,
Yeah.
unbelievable.
I know.
Like, just... But you know who we need? Do you know who we need to have on our show? And I need some listeners to find this. Here's what I don't understand about the whole background check thing.
Uh-huh.
Okay? I mean, I'm anything that restricts guns in the world, I'm for it.
Yeah.
Right. I'm
Yeah.
like the opposite of Wayne LaPierre. Right. Like on that one. Right. Like he and I could probably be best buds on a road trip, but when it comes to that topic,
Just,
I'm precisely the opposite. Anything to make it harder.
yeah.
Like have to
I'm
check
with
them
ya.
in, like the old
Like,
townie
come
at the
on.
saloons where you have to check them in at the sheriff's office,
Yeah.
before you can go into the bar, and then you get it
It's
when you
easier to get a gun than adopt or do.
then you get it when you check out. So I'm all for anything that restricts the access to things that are designed to kill
Mm-hmm.
anything, humans or animals. So I'm totally there. But here's what I don't understand. Why does mental illness cause you to lose your constitutional right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's fair. Look, if it's truly a constitutional right that you can have a firearm, the Second Amendment, what other constitutional rights does someone lose, not for bad behavior, but just for being mentally unstable?
Mm-hmm.
Do you lose other constitutional rights? No. So why is it? I don't get this. Why is it that someone can say, well, we don't want criminals or the mentally ill? Like, it's a constitutional right that you get to have firearms. That's Obama says all the time. It's a constitutional right. We're not going to mess with that. But we're going to limit that right to criminals. Got that, because we say in our society, if you behave in certain ways, you're going to then lose certain rights. But being mentally unstable should not cause you to lose your unless you've done something. So on what basis do these people make the argument that the mentally unstable should be restricted from their guns?
Is this a rhetorical question, or?
No, I'm serious. I want someone to say.
I think that there's.
Do you
a
have an
big-
answer to that?
Well, I mean, in general, there's a big stigma against mental illness, and people tend
Yeah.
to, just like there's different kinds of criminals too. There's different kinds of mental illness, and so, but we don't always make that distinction, and we assume that, with a lot of these shootings, when there have been people who have been seriously mentally
Mm-hmm.
whacked, but there needs to be an understanding of the nuance and.
Well, but on what's the argument that you would say to someone who has schizophrenia? You have schizophrenia, therefore you lose that constitutional right, even though you haven't done anything wrong.
Yeah.
How do you make the argument? Because where I'm pushing on this is this has to cease to be a constitutional right if we believe that we have to keep it from part of the population that hasn't done anything wrong.
Right.
If we're going to limit the constitutional right to people because of who they are and how they are, not because of what they've done, then it's no longer, it can't function as a constitutional right.
Are you wondering about this because you think it shouldn't be a constitutional right?
I'm wondering about it because I think people lie about
the reasons.
the rationale for why people have to have guns. That's a constitutional right, because those same people that make that argument will support denying that constitutional right to someone with mental illness. So they don't mean it's a constitutional right. They mean I should get to have one. Not the Constitution defends that everyone can have one unless they give up the right, because we don't tell people you've given up your rights just because you have mental instability. But on this one, then everybody seems to be saying, no, yeah, I mean, just, if you've got a condition, you lose your constitutional right. You haven't done anything. On what basis would they say, well, the mentally ill, we've now determined you to be mentally unstable, so you don't get to buy a gun. You're restricted from buying a gun. But it's my constitutional right. Yeah, but people who have your illness don't get to have that. What? I mean, I don't get it. So you got to be kidding me, people. I think there's some shenanigans going on.
Yeah, there might be a little bit of lying.
I don't know. I want to be careful not to call people liars.
Well, you just did.
But I was careful about it, so it's okay. If you say at the end of it, I want to be careful.
Then it's okay.
There's some things in this world that are right on, and there's some things in this world that are not the way they're supposed to be. But we don't live in a world just where things are broken, where things don't make sense to radio show hosts, where the weather gods come rolling down on us. No. We live in a world where there's good, and there's light, and there's beauty, and there's hope, and that's more of it. The reason the other things become news is because they're unusual.
Yes.
Because most people don't blow folks up.
No.
Because most people don't shoot and kill someone. Because most people don't hurt and abuse. Most people do the right thing. And out in Boston, I mean, it was the impulse of humanity to run into the place where there's terror and pull people out of it. I mean, fantastic. It's the impulse to open your home. And people do that all the time. People run into circumstances. People open their homes. People give of their lives. People give of their own blood. Right? I mean, unbelievable, the idea of people who wanted to give blood right after that because they thought, maybe someone hurt needs my blood. So all those who are doing the good things, running into the places where they need to run, who are opening their lives and their houses and their homes in vulnerability and are giving of their own blood, may your strength bring strength. May your faith bring faith. May your hope bring hope. And lovers, may your love bring love.
That's right.
Welcome back, Victoria. Thanks. Hey, folks, we'll talk to you down the road.
Go be your beautiful selves.
Go be your beautiful selves. That's my new thing now after the...
down the road?
Yeah. See you down the road. Isn't that nice little
can
saying?
We have the Wizard
I was
Road?
gonna say see you down the trail, but it seemed a little...
I think it sounds like something an ultra runner would say.
Yeah, I did too, and it seemed a little like trail. I was like, I got boots on.
Down the
so
road.
I say, hey, hope to see you down the road.
Sounds good.
That's nice, isn't it?
It's very nice. I
go,
like it.
Go be your beautiful selves, and
see you down the road.
We'll see you down the road. So we finally got a sign off, maybe.
Woohoo!
No, I'll probably
we'll try it out.
Become bored with it. All right. Bye.